So my name is Shanti Gamble. This is me. My husband Chad is here.
Hello.
My Aunt Roberta is here. She lives at Sierra Regency. My 4 kids are Nathan and Chestnut, Miriam, and Moses. And this is my sister's son, Adam, which I think some of you may have seen wandering around the halls of Sierra Regency. And then these 2 kids are friends of the family. So we're going to share about Cambodia. We live here. We've been living in Cambodia for about 3 years now, a little bit more. And my aunts talked to Noreen about sharing about Cambodia. We were supposed to do this in person, but due to COVID, we are still in Cambodia. So first off, I wanted to share some different foods. Some of these maybe you've seen before and some maybe not. I fell in love with mangosteens. This is the first place I've ever eaten mangosteens. They're so sweet and so delicious. Mangoes, many types of mangoes here. I think our neighbor said there are 20 different types of mangoes in Cambodia. All of them delicious. Dragon fruit, there's a white variety and a red variety. And then there's this wonderful coffee made with a lot of sweetened condensed milk here. We both really like. Some other foods, main courses, this is baisak charu, which is basically rice with pork, barbecued pork. It's a breakfast dish, but you can get it anytime. And the other dish that we really like is beef loklak. It's marinated barbecued beef with a pepper sauce, usually served with tomatoes and cucumbers and rice. We're going to continue our slideshow by showing you some of the more famous places around Cambodia. Starting in the upper left-hand corner of the country, Siem Reap. Siem Reap is probably the top tourist destination because it has Angkor Wat Temple. It's this huge complex, largest religious monument in the world. Started off as a Hindu temple to Vishnu, but was later transformed into a Buddhist temple. Built in the early 12th century. It was the capital for a long time during the Angkorian period. And this is the building when, if you see the flag of Cambodia, this is the building that's pictured on it. It's really a temple. And it brings a lot of tourists to Cambodia every year. It's the top tourist destination in Cambodia. And moving on to the eastern side of the country, Mondulkiri. Mondulkiri has amazing mountain views. And they also host the elephant sanctuaries. They're starting to retire out elephants, so people aren't riding them anymore, and trying to take care of ones that have been injured, and elephant sanctuaries out in Mondulkiri. And then continuing down, Karachi. Karachi runs along the river, this river over here. And in Karachi, you can actually, not necessarily swim, but kayak with river dolphins, the Irrawaddy river dolphins. They're actually an endangered species in Cambodia because of water levels. They're stuck in this, right about where the red dot is, they're stuck in that part of the river because it's too shallow for them to get back out to the ocean, and people keep fishing and they get caught up in the nets, so they're becoming endangered. Moving on to Kampong Cham.
This is a really cool area because every year when the water level goes quite low, there's a ferry that connects an island to the mainland, but the water level is too low. So they build this bamboo bridge for the people from the island to get to the mainland. And it's a temporary bridge that they just built for the dry season. And then when the rains come and the river level rises, then this bridge gets broken up and is carried on down the river.
Moving on towards the south, Kampot. Kampot is famous for its pepper. Supposedly when the French came in and they started colonizing Cambodia, they took this pepper back to France, and all the Michelin chefs with their stars would cook with nothing but Kampot pepper. It's world famous. It comes in 4 different colors. You can get green, red, white, and black, and those all come from the same plant. The green ones are the just barely ripe peppers. If you leave them on the plant for a long period of time, they turn to red at the end of their life cycle. But in between, they harvest them and dry them. And when they dry them, they become black. Then they take some of those black peppers and they take the skin off of them essentially. There's some process, but they remove the skin, and what's left is a white pepper. It has about the same taste as the black pepper, but doesn't have the color, obviously. It was first recorded by a Chinese tourist, essentially, who recorded in the 13th century about the pepper found in Kampot. And then continuing on down to the south, there's a bunch of islands down near the coastline in Sihanoukville. Islands that have beautiful white sand beaches. And also, we have heard, but have not yet seen, that there's phytoplankton out there as well. We keep trying, but it has become elusive. It is on our list of things to do, though.
And this is something with the seawater, that there's a bacteria that lives in it that at different times when the moon is out and the lighting is just right, it turns the ocean water blue, like the picture there. But you have to get up really early in the morning or late at night in order to see it.
All right, then moving to the far west part of the country, Battambang. Battambang has a single track rail line that the people have set up a bamboo train on. So you can see that they have 2 axles here and here, and then they just have a platform that's got a bunch of bamboo strips, and people sit on it, like these people here in the picture. And then it used to be that the driver / conductor would use a long pole and propel you that way. And today they have motors on them. And then what happens when 2 of them meet, like you can see these 2, right? You can't pass because it's a single track. So what the drivers will do is they will offload the one that has the lighter load. So in this case, this one is empty. They'll take off the platform, they'll take off the 2 axles, they'll push this one just past, and then they'll put them back onto the tracks. The other neat thing about Battambang is there's this huge bat cave that you can see bats coming out of for over 30 minutes, a constant stream of bats, just thousands and thousands and millions of bats every night. And then moving back down towards Phnom Penh, we have Kampong Chhnang. Kampong Chhnang is famous for its floating villages. These floating villages are made primarily of Vietnamese people. Vietnamese people are not allowed to own land in Cambodia. To avoid that, many families started building homes on the river. And they're just pontoons with a base and a foundation, and they live completely on the river. They fish in the river, they go to school in the river. Here's a picture of a church that's also in this floating village. They have satellite TV out on the river. There's also shops on the river. There's people who sell vegetables and coffee and other goods out of their own boats. They boat up and down the river and sell their goods. And there's even a gas station on the river. One of the major exports of Cambodia is rice. And rice in Khmer is bai. That's how you say this word up here, bai. This will become important in our slideshow a little bit later on. This picture, you can see all these people are planting rice. So each family generally will have a plot of land that they grow rice and harvest on. And the rice that they harvest is enough for their family for the whole year. There's also commercial farming as well, but a lot of families have their own rice plot as well. Rice has been a staple crop in Cambodia since before the 19th century. 9th century. And they figured out back at the time of the Angkor Wat temple how to get a constant flow of water over the rice plants, and that enables them to grow up to 4 crops every year instead of just 1. And in Cambodia, there's many, many different types of rice, but jasmine is the most popular. You can even get jasmine rice in restaurants in America. One of the other exports of Cambodia, one of the major exports of Cambodia is textiles. It accounts for $14 billion every year. 75% of all the exports come from textiles, clothing, shoes, knitwear, non-knit. They employ over 500,000 people, most of whom are women. Companies like Gap, Adidas, Hugo Boss, Nike, Walmart, H&M, Marks & Spencer, all of them buy goods from Cambodia. If you look at some of your clothes in your closet, it may say made in Cambodia on the label. Mm-hmm. These workers get a mere $190 per month as their salary. That is just went up this year, and they all got a raise. That comes out to about $1 an hour, which is not very much. Even though Cambodia's cost of living is reduced, that still is not very much money for them to live on. One of the cultural things about Cambodia is this Apsara dancing. Apsara, it's called. And we're going to watch a short clip here of this praying mantis dance. And you'll notice they're all dressed in green to resemble praying mantises. And they have these little things on their head to resemble praying mantises as well. You'll notice that they are holding half coconut shells. And they have them on their thighs. And they have them on their elbows. So as they do this dance, you'll hear them clapping essentially with these coconut shells. Etiquette in Cambodia involves no touching the head. It's meant to be the part of the person, even small children. Don't talk about politics. Don't point with your finger. No using your left hand.
The proper way to point is with your entire hand instead of just your finger. So if you do need to point something out, you just use your entire hand to do it.
No public displays of affection. And you should be polite. Should be patient, very calm. People do not raise their voices and do not get upset with each other in public. It's very shameful. And you should dress modestly. And you should leave your shoes outside the home when you enter, as in most Asian cultures. Right, that brings us to the language. So the language, you can see there are lots of different letters. These are just the consonants, no vowels are included. This top letter here is the main letter, but then as you're writing, sometimes it requires you to use the smaller letter in your word. So you can even see here this just says it's the Khmer letters. This symbol right here is the small letter of the M sound. Don't worry, there is no test. All right, so to hear these sounds, I've put their alphabet song in here. So here's how you say some key phrases, like hello.
So it's day.
Have you eaten yet?
Nyam by Howie?
Notice this part here in red. This is the word for rice. Nyam by Howie.
And this have you eaten yet is equivalent to how are you in English. When you greet somebody, you would say, Suste, Nyam by Howie? And in English, we would translate that, hello, how are you?
Kitchen.
Patea bai?
Patea is also the word for house, so this literally translates the rice house. Politician.
Nye nyo bai.
Also includes the word bai in it, rice. And then here, now we're going to do some words that have this lowercase b sound, essentially. Are you having fun?
Sabai?
How are you?
Nye suk sabai te?
Then there are some major holidays in Cambodia, holidays that officially start off as 3 days, but generally turn into week-long holidays. And there are 3 New Year's holidays. January 1st, like on the traditional calendar. There's a Chinese New Year that gets celebrated in February. And then Cambodia has its own Khmer New Year that's in April. This celebrates or marks the end of the harvest festival and the beginning of the rainy season. And many people travel back to their home villages and celebrate with their family. In September or October, there's Pachum Bun, and Cambodians have this belief that during Pachum Bun, the last 7 generations of their deceased relatives come back and they roam the earth and they haven't eaten. And so Cambodians take food offerings to the temples and give it to the monks, who then give it to the dead ancestors. In November, there's another week-long holiday, Water Festival. This festival marks the reversal of flow between the Mekong and the Tonle Sap rivers. So this is an amazing phenomenon. I believe it's the only river in the world that does this, but there's a lake, and generally the lake flows from Siem Reap, if you remember our maps, from Siem Reap down through the capital city in Phnom Penh and then out to the ocean. But when the rains come, everything rises, and the lake rises from, in some parts, from 1 to 10 meters deep. It gets 10 times as deep. And then as dry season comes back and the rains stop, the water starts to flow out again from the lake down to Phnom Penh, the capital city. And this is some of the boat races. So almost every province and then some groups of people as well all get together and they have a boat that they race. Last year when we went, I believe there was over 300 boats that race. They do them in groups of 2, and then the winners get to race again, and they just eliminate. And each boat races twice down the river, once on the inside land side of the river, and then once towards the middle of the river. Everybody, unlike Pachumban and Khmer New Year, where people go out to their home villages for water festival, everybody comes from the villages to the capital city. This is a very old tradition that started this particular race in the capital city, started back in 1914. In the evenings, they have a light parade on the river. So they have boats that are all decked out in lights. Each ministry department, government department in Cambodia has their own boat with its lights. And then they also do fireworks as well. And Cambodia also boasts the world's record longest dragon boat. It's pictured here on the far right. It's 286 feet long. And they purposely made it to hold 179 oarsmen. This is the month and year that the Khmer Rouge was kicked out of Cambodia. So January 1979. And it is completely handmade.
So one of the most famous Cambodians is this architect, Van Molivan. And unfortunately, he recently passed away a couple of years ago, but he's famous for designing a number of structures here in Cambodia. His picture is there, and just to the right of the picture is what's called Independence Monument. And it was a monument dedicated in 1958 to commemorate Cambodia's independence from France. And it's based on the lotus flower, which is the picture to the right of that. And then lastly, the last picture is a conference hall. Is a top-down picture of a conference hall or a public theater. And you can see it kind of looks like a palm leaf, which lotus flowers and palm leaves are very common and very popular here in Cambodia. He also designed the Olympic Stadium, which is here. It's named Olympic Stadium, but Cambodia has never hosted the Olympics. And there's a lot of really cool architectural features associated with that. And then lastly, the one on the right is a library at one of the universities here in town. One of the interesting facts about Cambodia is that they, during the Khmer Rouge period in the 70s, a lot of Cambodians escaped out of the country and eventually made their way to the west coast of the US. And many of them actually ended up becoming restaurateurs and running donut shops. And this is a book that was written by one of the Cambodians who made his way out of Cambodia. There's also a donut shop right there in Roseville on Foothill Boulevard that we like to go to, called Foothill Donuts. And the lady there is Khmer, or Cambodian, a lady named Mary. And if you ever get to that area, please tell her hello for us. And try some of your Khmer. Greet her by saying Suste, Suksabai, and you can talk to her in Khmer.
And some other Cambodian icons. The lotus flower is very, very popular here. It is sold all over. It is eaten, a large part of it. You can see here, like this part gets eaten. This is what happened, what's left over after all the petals fall off. And they eat the roots as well. Cambodia is also known as the land of smiles. If you smile at somebody culturally, you need to smile back at them. If you don't, it's rude. So here's a Cambodian man smiling. And then even on their temples, this is one of the temples in the Angkor Wat complex, but you can see even their temple from the early 12th century has on their statues people smiling. So Cambodia doesn't necessarily have a formal siesta like they do down in Mexico, but many people do take naps in the heat of the day. So like 1 to 3-ish. You go to the market, people are sleeping, napping, and people nap on all sorts of things. This guy is on his bike. This actually is a picture of the cover of a book. It's filled with pictures of interesting places they have found people sleeping.
And typically, a Cambodian, especially in the village, will wake quite early to avoid the heat, maybe as early as 4 or 5 in the morning to start at their farm. So that's one of the additional reasons that people are sleeping in the afternoon, is because they wake up so early.
And the last picture we have on this slide is the flag. And you can see here the Angkorian temple that I showed you at the very beginning is on that flag. And then this is the official greeting and the goodbye. It's called a sompeya. You put your hands together and you bow slightly, saying Tumrup Sua, Tumrup Lia. So thanks for watching.
Thank you.